Hi everyone, it's Goth Beezy. You can call me Beezy for short. This is actually my first YouTube video where I'm not just uploading a live stream, I'm actually recording and not talking to anyone. I have band together so many amazing people within the goth community, the alt community, and the gothic community. I've kind of band us all together because we have some issues going on with our community that are really important to talk about, and I think it's important to discuss this with everyone so we can come together, feel safe, and help baby bats. The goth community is amazing, and it should be a very safe space for all the outcasts. Lately, there's been a lot of issues within the community. The biggest thing that we have been running into is the red pill goth. The make goth great again. Can you believe that that's an actual movement right now? I can't either. I mean, wow. And it's honestly so crazy to me because it seems so obvious why that doesn't work. It sounds really familiar, right? If you're still confused about what the red pill goth is, it's basically conservative goth. Goth is extremely diverse, and we accept all walks of life. This is where it gets tricky, though. Let me ask you, do you think it's okay to allow conservatives within our community? Conservatism, as we know it today, is against trans rights, women's rights, people of color rights. It's filled with hate, racism, fascism, pedophilia, misogyny, Christian nationalism, etc. Once you finish the video, comment below if you think conservatives should be allowed within the community. But make sure you watch the video all the way through. The whole reason we're bringing this up is because the red pill goth movement has grown a lot, and it's because they have this leader who has been leading the way for the red pill goth to feel accepted within our community. Let's go ahead and check out what he has to say. This is Jake Monroe. I have actually had an encounter with him where he has made a YouTube video about me. If that is something that you'd like to see, it is on my channel. We're gonna go ahead and watch this video.
I encourage new content creators out there, new alternative influencers, to start using the same red pill, get this political shit out of our subculture rhetoric that I'm also doing. I encourage other creators to start standing up to these ugly goblins that are forcing us to listen to them, to believe what they believe in order to continue enjoying the subculture, because it's in their sweaty, fat hands, and they won't let us get to it until we're like, oh yeah, Antifa's great. We should have more ideological weirdos in schools. Get them while they're young. Yeah. Once I see there are people within the alternative subcultures like myself trying to be more free-thinking, more ironically inclusive, people will see this, and I will see you, and then I will start making sure more people see you.
Let's see if we can find any other girls that are flaunting their last boyfriend's interests for content.
So you don't have to go through a lot of his videos to kind of see what he's about, like at all. The video that I'm in is my haters have gone full crazy, right? So people are actually looking up to this person, and baby bats are actually watching his content, and they're getting the wrong idea of what goth is and what it means. He ironically says that he's ironically more inclusive, but that doesn't make sense if you're misogynistic, racist, homophobic, even fatphobic. He saying with our fat fingers, right? This makes at least that side of the community a non-safe place, and it's allowing people with hate in their hearts to have an excuse to dress up goths and to not have that political side. They want an excuse to dress cool, to look cool, but they don't want to have the responsibility of being political. He also says that he wants to make it not political, but that is a complete contradiction within itself, because when you say let's make it red pill goth, that in a way is making it political. Conservatism is a political side. Like, I don't know. It's just so silly to me. So to say that you're making it non-political by making it a red pill goth, that completely contradicts itself. Anyways, so that's Jake Monroe. We're not here to slander him. We're not here to stoop to his level. We're just here to bring awareness and to educate about what the goth community stands for. I do believe that goth has been watered down, and I think it's time we talk about it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pass it over to my friends who worked very hard on this video with me, and I am so appreciative of everyone. I really hope you enjoy this video. It has a lot of amazing educational information, and it has been so fun working with everyone. Anyways, let's get to it.
Hi, my name is Lisa. You might know me as Nihilism on social media, and I am very, very honored to be part of this collaboration. This topic is very near and dear to my heart, and I feel like it's something that should be spoken on, so I'm very glad I get to do that today. I'll be talking about the politics that the goth community stands for, so without much further ado, let's get into it. There's no denying the fact that goth found its origin in punk, which obviously means that goth's political values are heavily influenced by punk's anarchistic nature, although that anarchistic nature can be debated, but that aside. Punk relies on ethics that are deeply rooted in anti-establishmentarianism, which is a belief established authority is inherently corrupt, exploitative, or repressive. Not just that, but it's also heavily rooted in anti-consumerism, aka meaningfully and intentionally buying, using, and keeping stuff. Which is also why punks and goths don't support fast fashion and prefer to DIY or thrift or, all that stuff. Furthermore, punk and goth subcultures are anti-capitalism and anti-racism, which makes it even more evident that these red pill ideas have no place in the goth community. This community was created as a safe space for outcasts in the late 70s to early 80s. It was a way to rebel against the societal pressure to fit in, whatever that may mean. Not just that, but the book Goth on the Subculture also talks about how the UK goth scene refused traditional standards of sexual propriety. So much of the fashion, the aesthetic, and the vibe that modern goth has such a deeper meaning. A lot of goth fashion includes at least some small aspect of fetish gear. Think of leather, lace, chains, all that came to be due to the rebellion of people and the people who wanted freedom. Goth was and still is a way for people to express themselves, whether it is as a queer individual, a feminist, a pagan, a person of color, someone who prefers to be androgynous, and so much more. Goth is a safe space where everyone can be an outcast. Being goth isn't about looking scary and wearing white face paint or listening to the music. Although those things are a big part of it, goth is rooted in individualism. Goth has always been and always will be about individualism and diversity. It is completely idiotic to uphold beliefs that punish anyone who is not a straight white man, especially when the subculture was created by such a diverse group of people. The goth subculture was a place where LGBTQ people, people of color, anyone and everyone who felt safe and seen within the scene was welcome. The fact that it's now infiltrated with people who idealize this red pill content is scary, and it's not what the community stands for at all. So much of the battle the people before us have gone through is being lost because of people like this. The people who see it as a fun way to dress up or a fun way to express themselves without acknowledging the fact that people of all different backgrounds have created the scene for what it is today. How can a subculture that celebrates diversity welcome people like that? I don't think that's possible.
Hi, my name is Remy. I'm 19, Nigerian Belizean American, and I've been goth for coming up on 6 years now. And obviously, like most other women and people of color, I encountered racism, bigotry, sexism, the whole works. But it feels like in recent years, for some reason, it has gotten 10 times worse. So in this next segment, I'm going to be talking about one of the reasons I believe this is happening. The infiltration of conservatism and red pill ideology into the goth and other alternative subcultures is not just coming out of the blue. It is a direct symptom of the global ideological shift to the right. Obviously, one of the biggest indicators is the re-election of Trump for US president in 2024, but other than that, there are plenty of pop culture and online trend indicators that we are not paying enough attention to. One of the biggest one we saw this year was Sydney Sweeney's jeans campaign with American Eagle, where she at the very least, promoted white supremacy and at the most, borderline eugenics.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
Not a good look. We're also seeing a rise in online trends that aren't inherently conservative or bad, but they leave breadcrumbs, leading directly into the alt-right pipeline. Number 1, looks maxing. It isn't inherently bad to want to improve on your appearance and look your best self, but this trend has quickly devolved into putting Eurocentric features on a pedestal and demonizing ethnic features. Eugenics, white supremacy. Number 2, tradwifism. Obviously, it's not bad to want to stay home and cook and clean and take care of your kids and your husband, but these quickly devolve into conversations of stripping basic rights away from women, such as the right to abortion, the right to property ownership, and even voting. Number 3, the manosphere and the male loneliness epidemic, which isn't completely unfounded because men are more likely to commit suicide than women. But in these conversations, it's never anything productive to actually help that other than blaming women for every little thing that goes wrong in a man's life. That is misogyny and sexism and often leads to violent ideation against women. And lastly, we're seeing an influx of unprecedented hate, harassment, and exclusion of sex workers in the goth scene, which is so ironic considering that not only our clothes, but our music takes so much inspiration from them. Purity culture and misogyny. As much as we like to say that we're not, goths are just as human as anybody else and just as susceptible to propaganda. But now that we know the little things to look for, what will we do with that information?
Hello, my name is Gabby, also known as the Zombie Doll, and in my segment, I'm going to be talking about misogynistic messages and how red pill ideologies don't mesh with goth fashion and being goth. So I'm going to be breaking my segment up into 4 parts. There's going to be the history, the misogyny, the contradiction, and the conclusion. The history. When people think of goth fashion, they usually think of wearing all black, chokers, fishnets, and platform boots. But the real history of goth fashion is a lot deeper and far more complicated than mainstream stereotypes suggest. First and foremost, goth is a subculture based on music, philosophy, and self-expression, while the term gothic refers to the literature, fashion, architecture, and visual art. The aesthetic is connected, but it's a lot more than that. It's not all that. In the 1980s, goth fashion was born from DIY culture and thrifting. Early goths pieced together looks inspired by Victorian Gothic fashion, post-punk fashion, and even fetish fashion. Many of the items that we see today, corsets, leather, vinyls, chokers, have roots in the BDSM and fetish community. But despite those origins, Gothic fashion itself wasn't a direct entry point into the BDSM community. Instead, it became a symbol of drama, power, and radical self-expression. By the 1990s and 2000s, mainstream brands started to use the term goth as a cash grab, and fast forward to today, there are many ultra-fast fashion brands with their own goth categories, such as Shein and Ramwi, often stripping the style of its history and nuance. The misogyny. With the popularity of the style came something darker, the fetishization of goth fashion, especially of women and femme-presenting people. Because Gothic fashion incorporates a lot of elements that are seen in fetish wear, it is immediately sexualized. The term goth girl has been largely warped into a fetish category, largely because of items like fishnets, chokers, and corsets. Fishnets, corsets, and leather are misinterpreted, misrepresented, or intentionally objectified. But wearing less clothing does not equal one fetishizing themselves. It does not mean that someone is inviting sexualization, and it definitely does not turn goth into a category. Yet in modern social media culture, many women find themselves being labeled as OnlyFans models simply for being goth, or for being comfortable in their sexuality and dressing expressively. Misogynistic values play a huge role in this. They shame women who dress too provocatively, they punish women for confidence, and they reinforce a system where men control how women present themselves. Some goths even fall into purity culture, believing that sexual confidence ruins goth or makes it less legitimate, ignoring that many gothic clothing items have direct historical ties to sex work, and that the subculture embraced these items as a way to reclaim autonomy and intensity. The contradiction. Goth fashion has always challenged gender norms. Men wearing makeup, nail polish, skirts, and women adopting sharp, aggressive silhouettes that reject passive femininity. Goth has always been a space where androgyny and individuality thrive, and where mainstream gender expectations are intentionally broken. So it's fundamentally contradictory for someone to claim that they hold goth beliefs while also being misogynistic. A person who is misogynistic generally believes in traditional restrictive gender roles, but the very essence of goth fashion and goth culture is a rejection of those values. You cannot celebrate goths' gender-bending, sexually liberated, dramatic aesthetic while also shaming women that express themselves or condemning sex workers that show themselves off as goth online. It is equally contradictory to be against people in sex work while benefiting from fashion history that literally incorporates elements taken from sex work-related clothing. Without the contributions of sex workers, fetish communities, and DIY queens, gothic fashion as we know it wouldn't exist. The conclusion. Goth fashion is not just black clothes and spooky makeup. It is a living history of DIY culture, Victorian drama, fetish influences, gender experimentation, and radical self-expression. It's a space where people carve out identities that reject the mainstream. But misogyny threatens that freedom. It reduces goth women to sexual objects. It punishes femme goths for confidence. It mocks or devalues sex workers who use the aesthetic while ignoring that gothic fashion owes a part of its origin to them. And ultimately, misogyny contradicts the very spirit of goth, a spirit rooted in individuality, rebellion, and liberation from restrictive gender roles. So if we want to preserve what makes gothic culture powerful, we have to challenge the misogynistic messages that distort it. Goth is not a fetish category, it's not a marketing trend, and it's definitely not something that can coexist with values that seek to control, shame, or silence women. Goth is art, goth is history, goth is expression, and goth is freedom.
Hello everyone, before I get started, I would just like to say this is in no way the best art I've done, as I got put into the project a little late and would like to apologise if there's anything missing that is personal to you, since I want you to all feel welcome and be a part of this video. As well, keep in mind, this whole video is not about my art skills or my art in general. This piece is just a visual representation of inclusivity of the goth community in hopes that you all feel welcome and are open to listening to us all. A quick thank you to Goth BZ for collaborating with me and also everyone else for welcoming me onto the project. I would like to open my part of the video by welcoming everybody to a diverse community, whether you're a baby bat seeking some social or political knowledge about the goth scene or culture, or an elder bat that would like to support and listen to some of our concerns. Some of the other bats will also comment on some of the serious issues that negatively affect our beautiful, diverse community. For my piece, I'll be speaking about the importance of diversity and inclusion of the goth community. Goth identity isn't just an aesthetic, but a passionate form of identity within. The community embraces individuals as an expression that transcends physical barriers for the disabled, LGBTQIA+, race and religion. Being goth is about a deep identity, not just the clothes. The community welcomes everybody. Unfortunately, some communities fail to understand this total acceptance. Self-expression is a fundamental human right, but is directly challenged by the discriminatory, rigid views of certain communities, such as red pill communities. The goth subculture is built on inclusivity, accepting the marginalised and unique. Self-expression is a basic right. The community supports everyone and their unique style. Certain communities oppose this freedom with strict judging rules. Some misogynistic groups promote hierarchical gender roles and misogyny. Goth culture embraces gender fluidity and their identities, such as men in makeup and the desexualization and discrimination of women. Some groups want strict, unequal roles for men and women. Goths believe in gender freedom, like men wearing makeup and respect for women being different takes in courage, and that courage is a strength. In the simple terms, the goth style is a way to resist fitting in. Some people judge this style, saying it's low status because they want everybody to follow old-fashioned rules, but we do not want to fit into those rules. I hope everybody watching this video listens and learns some key points. We open our arms to everyone in the community as long as you are kind, respectful, and inclusive. Anyway, thank you for listening to my part of the video. On to the next person. I hope you will all listen to what everyone has to say, and I hope you all enjoy the video.
Hello everyone, my name is Bridget, and my Instagram handle is BriggyBat, BRIGGYBAT, and I also make music, and I'm an alternative artist under the name of Brix, BRIX,
and today I'm going to talk about some of Jake Monroe's takes and the red pill goth agenda that is affecting our baby bats as someone who has joined the community over a year and a half ago. So I'm going to speak for that. Okay, first of all, one of his takes this is a big one. He said, goth is not political. Let me explain why that's wrong. First and foremost, the music is political. And why do you say that? If you actually took the time to listen to some of the mainstream goth artists' songs, yes, a lot of them have crazy lyrics and some of them are even funny, but sound awesome. But some of them also talk hardcore politics, and that is how it's always been. And to say it's not politics at all is completely wrong. That's the first take. Second big take of his. He thinks goth is conservative. It's not. First and foremost are my baby bats. You can have any religion you want, no problem. But you can't be conservative. And one thing that Jake likes to say is that goth is conservative. Goth is no politics. Both are wrong. Conservative means you are pro-life and you're homophobic. Now, let's get this straight. Why would you be allowed to be homophobic when you're wearing drag? This is literally a form of drag. Like, this is literally the same amount of makeup drag queens put on their face. Why would you want to be homophobic in this community? That's like going to a gay club just to call somebody a slur. Like, it makes no sense. Like, why are you there? But anyways, another topic is his voice is just not the best, especially if you were a female baby bat, because he has so many videos saying women are the problem, goth women are manipulating you. Like, it's just like, okay. Like, I don't know why this dude is targeting women so hard. Like, even on Instagram Reels, he'll literally be like, oh my gosh, he's just another bedroom goth. Like,
bedroom goth dances again. I hate this shit. It's not trad goth. How are any of us expected to respect all these goth elitists? And
so what? Like, I fear I don't understand what's upsetting you. I don't get it. I'm in my bedroom. Does that mean you're gonna have a big fit? Like, I don't get it. Like, there's so many of us baby bats who are literally in the same situation. And I'm just wanting to tell you, you don't have to listen to that negative energy. Okay, you are your own person. If you want to be goth in your bedroom, be a goth in your bedroom. If you want to be goth in a cemetery with full consent, be goth in a cemetery. Like, it's just like, bro, why are we worried about what he's saying when he's literally a red pill goth pushing everything against the goth movement? We need to stop listening to this BS. Seriously. Okay, that was my take. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to my take. By the way, my music is once again under Bricks, and my Instagram is BriggyBat, BRIGGYBAT, and Bricks, BRIX on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure to tune in. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope the baby bats who feel like this is how it's supposed to be because of all the manipulation and the new uplifting of this, and some people are being like, oh, well, I was goth way before half these people were born, so, like, this is how it's always been. Like, no, like, I hope that this video comes across to you and you realize, you know, this is not okay. We do not stand for this. No matter how many red pills say we do not. Also, make sure to subscribe to BZ. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad to be here. Have a lovely day.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and I'm going to talk about what the red pill was and what it means nowadays in the goth community especially. The phrase originally comes from a movie called The Matrix from the year of 1999. In the movie, the red pill represents waking up to the truth and that the world you're living in is a lie. And the reality is much darker than that. Sounds cool in a sci-fi sense, that's for sure, but online the meaning got hijacked. In the early 2000s and 2010s, internet forums twisted the meaning of the red pill into a metaphor for rejecting mainstream lies, but instead of questioning real power structures, it became a way to push misogyny. So-called red pill communities on Reddit, YouTube, and now TikTok have turned it into a lifestyle brand. Hate feminism, blame women for everything, glorify toxic masculinity, and that's the so-called truth that they're waking up to. And let's be real for a second, there's nothing rebellious about that. That's not new. It's not radical, it's just patriarchy in a trench coat. And now, fast forward to today, we're seeing this weirdly mutation online called red pill goths. And honestly, it's embarrassing. Goth has always been a subculture rooted in self-expression, inclusivity, and rejecting toxic social norms. But these people want to hijack the aesthetic. Black clothes, eyeliner, maybe a Bauhaus shot, and use it as camouflage while they try to push the same tight red pill garbage. They act like they've seen the truth. What they're really doing is copying talking points from men's rights forums and alt-right influencers. There's no enlightenment here. It's manipulation dressed in fishnets, and that quite literally referring to our aesthetic that we always used to have and still have. It gets worse. Red pill goths prey on the fact that goth has always been a refugee for outsiders, people who didn't feel like they belonged. They'll approach vulnerable folks, talk about how society is fake or corrupt, which sounds like classic goth critique of mainstream culture. But then they slip into a poison, blaming women, blaming feminism, and pushing conspiracies. That's not rebellion, that's recruitment. And let's be honest here for a second. Red-pilled goths don't add anything new to the goth community. They're parasites. They're taking a subculture built on freedom and trying to turn it into a pipeline for hate. If you strip away the eyeliner and gloom, it's just the same old red pill ideology that's been festering online for years. So where did the red pill come from? A brilliant sci-fi metaphor if you think about it, but what is it nowadays? Just a lazy excuse for misogyny, and in the goth scene, nothing but a bad knockoff, a pose that trying to look deep while peddling bigotry. Because the truth is, red pill isn't rebellion, it's desperation, and in goth culture it doesn't belong. It never did, and it never will.
Hi, my name's Mary. I've been goth for about a year now, and I wanted to talk about political advocacy and intersectionality in goth music and alternative space. Penetration's 1978 song, The Silent Community, is a very anti-conformity, anti-authority, and can be seen as very pro-minority song. Lost Cherry's 1982 song, Sexism Sick 1, is a very anti-sexism song. The Sound's 1980 song Resistance is very anti-authority and anti-conformity. Public Image Limited's 1982 song Religion 1 is very anti-religion. The Virgin Prune's 1982 song Caucasian Walk is about the violence that white people are complacent in. Killing Joke's 1980 song The Way is very anti-propaganda, anti-corruption, and very anti-pollution. Goth has always featured themes of anti-authority, anti-conformity, and pro-minority. Alternative culture as a whole is supposed to be about going against the mainstream. What ideas have been mainstream for centuries? What systems of power have kept people under control? White supremacy, patriarchy, and more recently, capitalism. It is impossible to call yourself goth or alternative if you let the injustices done to people of color, women, LGBT+ people, and workers slide just the way the mainstream has done for centuries.
Hi lovelies, my name is Alessandra Valentine. I've been alternative basically my whole life, but over the last 2 years I've been more involved in the online goth scene. In that time, I've been trying to grow my page, and honestly, it's been pretty difficult. I don't usually do the neo-trad goth makeup that's super popular right now. I like to experiment with lots of different styles of makeup and fashion in general, and I've noticed kind of like a trend in the online goth community that if you aren't non-humanly pale with a giant bat's nest and a cinched waist and an ankh belt, that people aren't really going to look your way as a goth person. And this especially goes for Black people and other people of color. And this isn't just an issue within the goth community. Over the last few years, we've seen an influx of red pill content from YouTube videos and podcasts to Reddit forums. These men's rights activists have felt emboldened to share their warped views on society, gender roles, and conspiracy theories. Majority of the time centering men, and even more so white men, as the ultimate victims of society, scapegoating marginalized groups such as Jewish people, Black people, other people of color, and women. So when these red pill ideologies began seeping into the subculture, especially with content creators like Jake Monroe, Black femme-presenting goths such as myself have gotten a lot of hate from people both in and outside of the community. White femme-presenting goths make up a majority of the online influencer scene in the goth community. And while red pill ideologies have misogynistic elements to them, there's still an importance or preference placed upon women with more Eurocentric features, as emphasized by another distinct but connected manosphere community, the Looksmaxers. This is a picture of their quote-unquote true Eve. As you can see, it just doesn't really align with Afrocentric features. And pushing these ideologies inside of the goth community perpetuates white supremacy, and that's exactly what these red pill ideologies are doing, stapling this idea that goth has to be a certain way, it has to look a certain way, and it usually rejects the idea of goth being inherently political. And usually political to these red pillars is just having basic human decency. For me personally, as a Black person in the community, I've definitely seen how it's been harder for me and some of my peers to get ahead as people of color. And it's because of ideas like this that perpetuate the idea that goth is whiteness and whiteness is good. Even though goth has so many influences from the Black community with hairstyles, with fashion choices, the grandmother of rock, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, was an African American woman. I feel like that's something that's forgotten a lot in alternative spaces. Black people have always been part of it, and they always will be.
Hi guys, my name is Danny, or Coffin Goblin. I'm gonna be discussing internalized misogyny, pick-me girls, and how all this intersects with the goth subculture. So, internalized misogyny describes the way women can subconsciously project sexist ideas onto themselves and onto other women. Because the patriarchy positions women as inferior to men, some women will end up chasing male approval by competing with other women and bashing conventionally feminine or girly interests. This is where the whole not like the other girls or pick-me girls come in. Pick-me girls will actively try to distance themselves from mainstream womanhood by adopting more masculine interests and performatively aligning themselves with what they believe men desire, even when it goes against their own tastes and values. Objectification and fetishization has long affected the goth and alternative subculture and has recently been amplified by the rise of the goth girlfriend meme and stereotypes that we see online. What's especially ironic is that even conservative men, whose values completely clash with what goth stands for, participate in this fetishization. There could be a few reasons for this. Goth and alternative women are often perceived as more kinky or sexual, while conservative women are stereotyped as more boring or vanilla. On top of that, some men see goth and alternative women as more mentally unstable, which directly ties into the manic pixie dream girl trope. That makes them seem more like a project to these men, or someone they can fix, control, and coerce. In reality, many of these men don't actually know what goth is. They will claim that they want a goth girlfriend, but when they encounter an actual goth on the streets, these will be the same men who shout abuse at us. What these men really want is a conventionally attractive woman who might wear a bit of eyeliner and black clothing, and not someone who actually fully embodies the subculture and its values. I dated a guy like this once when I was much younger, and he liked the novelty of having a goth girlfriend, but then would ask me to tone down my makeup or my outfits whenever we'd be around his family or friends. Because of this whole goth girlfriend craze, alternative and goth women get framed as a kind of desirable price or an aesthetic accessory, a gothic labubu, if you may, if that's still relevant. This has led some pick-me girls to adopt alternative styles purely to attract male attention and to stand out from other women, and not because they actually like the music or the subculture. Even within goth spaces, internalized misogyny and pick-me behavior still shows up. I've often seen goths bashing normies for liking more mainstream feminine things while still calling themselves girls. This kind of attitude reinforces competition and judgment instead of real solidarity and support. It shows that even in a subculture that embraces self-expression, androgyny, and gender nonconformity, patriarchal ideas still bleed through. If we truly want goth to remain a safe space for us all, for unapologetic self-expression, and to stay true to its values, we have to be willing to notice these behaviors, both within ourselves and within the subculture overall, and make conscious efforts to unlearn them. Thank you guys for listening to me.
Hello, my name is Alma, also known as the Strange Mother, and I am Boliviana and Nicaraguense American. I will be talking with you about the Hispanic and Latino influences in the goth subculture today. Firstly, I wanted to thank Emily for asking me to be a part of this project, but let's get into it. Hispanic and Latinos have always been a part of the goth punk alternative community, which is why I'm going to go a little back right now. As many people know, there was a punk movement that started in the 70s in New York. There was the Ramones, Sex Pistols, the Dictators, but in LA, there was also a punk and Chicana scene going on around the same time. We had the Plugs, X, the Brats, and then in the late 90s, we had Subsistencia, Los Crudos, and just a couple I could name that kept the scene alive in LA. It was all about making a community where those who didn't fit in could fit in and straying far away from what mainstream was. The movement was not just about the fashion, but the resistance, a lifestyle that we won't stop fighting for through the music. A song I recommend hearing, which is a favorite of mine, is called La Bamba by the Plugs, which is a cover, and they changed the lyrics to No soy capitalista, no soy fascista, soy anarquista. If you're wanting to learn more about the movement, I suggest watching the documentary called Beyond the Screams on YouTube, which is where I learned most of this information from. As people know, there is a beautiful, huge Mexican community in LA to this day, where the punk and goth community is very much alive and keeping the resistance of the music alive. Mexican culture, if I may mention, is also very deeply rooted to the goth subculture, and personally Bolivian culture because of the holidays like Todos Santos, which is our Day of the Dead, from November 1st to 2nd. I also do know that there is a huge goth community down in Bolivia, such as La Paz, Santa Cruz, and one day I will experience in person. I noticed there was a lot of underground bands though, and I couldn't find their social platforms, so if anyone knows more about that, please let me know. I want to give a huge shout out to a creator and artist based in LA. She is Mexicana. Her @ is Chica de Luz, and she provides a lot of resources for people battling against ICE, and also has a small business where she has donated proceeds to family in need. I think this is something everyone should be aware about in this time more than ever, especially under the current presidency we have. So let's keep the resistance alive, and fuck ICE.
The push of red pill propaganda has increased the religious psychosis of the evangelical right-wing populace of the United States of America. The abuse of our systems of power, the renormalization of discrimination, and blind-eyed aid to the deaths of thousands upon thousands of Palestinians are only but a few direct consequences of the support of this cause. People like Jake Monroe have gained confidence to be this loud and obnoxious about their hateful rhetoric because of the mobilization of right-wing politicians using influencers to make themselves seem less aggressive to an undereducated population. They use these people as puppets as they gain clout. Other smaller creators want to follow suit. I doubt Jake himself would even be chasing this bag if it wasn't for the potential money and recognition that follows this type of path, not to mention sticking his nose into politics from a country he's not even from. The average everyday American has become desensitized and recognizes anybody in power to know more than they do, which has led to the easier but planned push that the right has been making in recent times. To the average uneducated citizen, they see these basic red pill biases as moral to our country's previous conditioning and therefore creates a pipeline that leads to the deconstruction of almost 250 years of legislation and laws that protect every single citizen in this country, all due to ignorance of agenda. As this new age right regime agenda gets pushed, the evangelical population, who is currently being used as a pawn by politicians in power, is eating this up like candy. People who lead organizations to personally call out Foursquare Church, the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel, this is a very close at home example for me, are taking advantage of this new system to their own benefit. Organizations like these are pushing real God-loving Christians out of their home churches, selling off buildings on their pastoral administration's feet, and forcing their congregations to either commit to their new ways or be cut out like cancer. I had a real, in-life person that I know and love dearly tell me that they got cut out of their church because they were cancer because they didn't believe the right kind of Christianity. Anyways, they push homophobic, racist, misogynistic views into the mouths of a group waiting for validation for their shitty lives. I beat my wife and raped my daughter, but God forgives me and everybody as long as I get to pay for pastors' paid vacation to the retreat. All these behaviors are more and more normalized by the day. It also plays into the direct support of politicians who are taking advantage of their groups to gain power and aid Israel directly. Because of this normalization, our administration has added blood to our hands, adding upon the blood that hasn't even dried all the way from the Reagan presidency and further. It's no surprise. I'm a leftist. As a leftist, I do not support the concept of fixing something that was never meant to be broken. Starting since the Reagan administration, there has been things implemented through each and every single presidency that has built up to what problems we have today. The system is not broken. It is working exactly the way that it was planned, and therefore, as a leftist, I stand on the deconstruction and reconstruction of our administration to the better of its people, to stable stances that provides for the people with checks and balances that squash out corrupt politicians who would like to gain power for their own benefit. I want to tell you my own personal story of lived experience growing up with red pill ideologies. I am a 24-year-old living in a rural area of Southern California. People claim that my state is as blue as the sky, but we actually have a very large right-wing population. I grew up in one of these communities. Politics was in my blood from birth, even in every single newspaper, TV show, and radio that I listened to. I remember sitting in... this is such a funny... Every time that I say this, people don't fucking believe me, and I just... Yeah. When Obama was elected, I was sitting on my couch as a fucking kid, crying as a 7-year-old because my stepdad had convinced me that the Democrats were gonna fucking bust down our door and kill me. It was ingrained into my head that the rapture could happen at any point, and if you were left behind, it's because your sins against God and your parental figures. That feeling of internalized dread as a child, experiencing rapture anxiety, making submitting to my abuse easier. Every lash and broken bone not treated by a hospital because the government wanted to track us, every calorie I ate wrong, every failure, every step without intention of worshiping God meant that at any moment he could snap his fingers and I would be going to hell and rejected by the only being I was told loved me. Being held down while crying. If someone comes up to you and holds a gun up to your head and tells you to deny Christ, you must let them kill you. You'll be a martyr for the Lord our God. Knowing at any moment I would need to die for Jesus, but also having to be perfect for both my own self and parental figures, or else God would just reject me. This brought so much anguish and torment onto my little body. To this day, the stress from the abuse I endured because of my brainwashing and inability to fight back has given me medical issues that I now must live with for the rest of my life. I wish not to go into detail about a lot of it, but some of the minor stuff includes bones not being healed properly from being beaten, and hormonal imbalances that affect my intake of almost any kind of food. I did not grow up with love or rest or peace. I grew up with anguish and stress. I was unable to properly mature through puberty, which has now given me issues that I must face forever. When I was 15, I began collecting evidence to gain my freedom and was able to be relinquished of my mother's care by 16. Things were hard and I did not escape the brutalities of Christianity just then. I mean absolutely no hate towards my adopted family who has loved me this entire time. But I did experience a lot of mental anguish and abuse under certain members of the church that I was previously a part of who were helping me in high school when I was struggling. The mindset of Christianity itself is in an evangelical stance has allowed for the mental incapableness for people to care when you are being sexually abused. If you're being sexually abused at some point or another, you did something wrong for that to happen, even between the ages of 16 and 18 when you were a child. Again, I want to clarify my adopted family has nothing to do with this statement. And if they watch this video, they're now learning of my rape. What I experienced at that church and the experiences in me growing up being a Christian, I believe that there are people who love God and are actually real Christians. And then there are evangelical, modern-day right-wing people who claim to be Christian, who basically just use the Bible for their own advantage, who hold misogynistic, racist, homophobic, egotistical values that are based upon a book written hundreds of times over and over again to take advantage to their benefit. That has become the backbone of the situation, and even though I'm speaking as an American, I can see how it can also affect other regions of the world as well. It is taking me so much time to unlearn the hate that has been bestowed upon me. All you really have to do, anybody that's in my similar situation, is just take it one step at a time. You will make it out. You will.
Zoe, a goth from Germany, also known as Romantic Demon. As we know by now, goth is a music and political based subculture. And with that it comes with values. Not following these values, doing the opposite, or not bringing these into action is contradictory to what the subculture stands for. And now I would like to give you a few examples on how to incorporate goth values into your lifestyle. So let's begin. The first core value is non-conformity, and the first thing that comes into mind is fashion. Having a gothic or any other alternative style is already non-conforming. Expressing yourself through fashion, body mods is non-conforming. But non-conformity also means to fight against injustice, to fight for human rights, to stand up for the oppressed. It's very important to educate yourself politically, to engage in political discussions, to spread awareness. It doesn't mean that you have to be a politician or an expert in anything. I know it can be overwhelming, especially when you're not mentally stable, but that's not an excuse to ignore what's happening in the world. Through social media, everyone can engage in political content, but also another way is to go to demonstrations and sign petitions. That's at least what I like to do. Another value is open-mindedness and tolerance for diversity. Minorities like the LGBTQ+ community, people of color, disabled people, they have always existed. Not tolerating them or denying their existence or dehumanizing them is against our values. Well, at this point, you can twist my words and say, if goths are supposed to be open-minded, then non-left-leaning goths need to be tolerated too. Otherwise, you just gatekeep. You could say that, but have you ever heard of the paradox of tolerance? If a society, in this case the goth community, is tolerant to an extent that we start tolerate intolerance by accepting goths with non-left-leaning views, then over time, intolerant overweighs tolerance. So in other words, we need to be intolerant to intolerance. I know it's a bit confusing, but once you get it, you will understand that it's not gatekeeping a subculture. We're just protecting it and its values. Be an ally to the LGBTQ community. Educate yourself on history, on how to deconstruct racism, for example. Speak up for marginalized people. Call out people who are racist, ableist, homophobic. Don't give such people a platform on social media. Our money, attention and support is their power. Goths are also anti-consumerism. We don't support fast fashion, especially companies and brands like Shein, H&M. The list is long. But what you can do instead is to support small businesses, shop secondhand, and to DIY. If you have no flea markets or secondhand shops in your area, explore websites like Vinted, Depop, eBay. For clothes, you can even ask your family, friends, and even neighbors, whoever you want. With scissors, thread, and a needle, you can already create some individual pieces. Goth is about individualism, so DIY pieces are an important part of it. Which leads us to the next core value: individualism and creativity. Be creative, create art, music, poetry, express yourself and your interests. This is how you find community, the right people. And that's the point where it's all coming together. So we have individualism and creativity, which can be expressed through DIYing, which contributes to anti-consumerism and non-conformity. Also, individualism needs open-mindedness and tolerance for diversity. This leads back to non-conformity, which again means to oppose bigotry, injustice, discrimination, and oppression. Do you see how intertwined these are? Do you understand the reason why goth is in fact political and not just about music and aesthetics? Do you see how important it is to keep our community safe from hateful, bigoted people? If you truly want to belong to the goth subculture, think about it. Align with these values. If yes, how do you incorporate them in daily life? Or is there anything you can do differently? If no, change your mindset, your lifestyle, educate yourself, especially on politics. But if you don't align with these values and you don't want to be a better person, then please don't call yourself goth and keep yourself out of alternative spaces. And of course, nobody is born goth. We all have been baby bats. As long as you're willing to change, as long as you're not a bigot, you will be fine. I promise you that. So that was my part. Spread love, not hate.
Hi everyone, my name is Blake Batts and I have been in the goth community for literal decade. Growing in the community and continuing to be a part of the community is something that I will always hold dear to my heart, because the community and being goth reflects all of the things I stand for, whether it's politically or personally. And I just want to say, goth isn't just a costume. It will never be washed out into just an aesthetic. It will always be a political stance against oppression. It will always be about progress and standing with what's right and protecting those who need to be protected. And that's what I love the most about the community. Due to this, I think that this subculture is not capable of harboring the red pill ideology, given the fact that the red pill side takes into favor the oppression of minority and pushes harmful and negative narratives. And that's the opposite of what goth people has and will always stand against. And I just want to say, fuck ICE and free Palestine. That's everything.
Hi everyone, my name is Veronica. I've been alternative my whole life, but just got into the community within the last 3 to 4 years. As somebody who actually upholds what it means to be goth or alternative, it deeply saddens me to see how red-pilled this community has become. I hope we can weed out the people who use goth and alternative as a costume and restore this community to what it has always been about, which is supporting those who are struggling, being inclusive to any people and all people, excluding those who hate and discriminate, as well as fighting for our rights and standing up to those in power. Goth has been and always will be political. To say it's not goes against what it truly means to be goth. You cannot claim to be goth while excluding women, excluding people of color and minorities, and licking boots. For me, upholding the goth lifestyle isn't about how I look. It's about how I choose to treat others, how I choose to have a voice for those who don't, and of course the music. I guess what I'm trying to say is, when offered the red pill or the blue pill, take both. Open your eyes, fight back, and do better.
Hello. Well, hi, my name is Kate. I'm 17 years old. I'm goth, obviously. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm taking a part of that video. We all are in. It's about our subculture and what it means to be a goth, because recently I've seen negative changes when it comes to racism and homophobic behavior even sometimes, and especially male individuals think they can just be assholes and no one will say anything about it. But we decided together that we want to stand up against that and that we want to talk about it. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. And yeah, well, I am talking about the characteristics of the goth subculture. And if we want to talk about that, then we really need to deep dive into what it actually is. Now we're coming to the religion. Many people think you can be religious or like believe in something and be goth. Well, I think that's wrong. I mean, obviously you can be conservative. Conservative beings are not a part of our subculture because it goes against our core values, like LGBTQ, like anti-racism, and all of the going against the standard. And this is again a standard because you don't fight against something, you just stay in a conformity of conforming to a religion or a specific mindset, and everyone who doesn't, that's like bad, and that's not what we want to have in our subculture. It just goes against our whole imagination of what we are and we've always been since the 80s.
Hello, it's Brigitte again, and I'm here with part 2 where I speak on religion in the alt subculture as a Christian goth, and I'm going to speak on some topics based around religion. And just so you know, I'm not going to be biased, I'm going to be inclusive with everybody. My first take is the goth subculture is not wrapped around one singular religion. It is not just for Satanists, it is not just for Catholics with the architecture. It is not just meant for one religion. What you cannot do is spread hate and be like, oh, they're just trying to be our religion and use our religion. You're forgetting. We are a melting pot of every kind of person. We welcome all kinds of people. We spread all kinds of love. There is many different beliefs that are inspired by so many goth things done today. Here's what you would see from Catholics. Here is what you would see from pagans. And there's so much more. Please do not push your beliefs onto somebody. Forcing religion is wrong, and it will cause religious trauma. And it'll just mess them up mentally. You are not doing a good thing if you do that at all. You can have any beliefs you want, as long as it's not involved with this. And as I will explain in my first video, I have already explained what that is, which you cannot be. Now, if you are any of these, that's fine, as long as you don't push it on anyone else. That's what works in our subculture. Isn't that great? Well, just so you are aware, you can join if you're a Christian. You can join if you're not. If you don't believe anything, you believe in God, you believe in the devil, like that's your business. As long as you follow the simple rules, you can believe whatever you want. And we all respect each other here. We're not gonna throw, like, real goths don't throw religion down each other's throats. We all know we take inspiration from different religions in this subculture. It's how we all blend together and are kind to one another. Also, the baby bats who think they can't join the goth subculture because of their beliefs, that we welcome all beliefs here. So don't feel ashamed for wanting to embrace your true self, you know? I was a baby bat over a year and a half ago, and I've been nothing but treated kindly. Straight up, I'm lucky that I was treated so well. You know, I was just filled with so much kindness by the community. I mean, like, the person who's making this video, Beezy, we don't have the same beliefs, and she is one of the most kindest people you'll ever meet. Straight up. And there's so many other wonderful people. We don't have the same beliefs. There are so many people with religious trauma that I know. So sweet, so kind. There is no need to spread hate, to hurt people, because they don't agree with what you believe in. This isn't church. This is your subculture, this is politics, and this is expressing your true self. This is not church. This isn't your church. It's never going to be your church. If you want to spread your beliefs on your page for your religion, fine. But do not tell other goths they're not goth enough, or they're not Christian enough, or they're not a real goth if they're not what you are. It's wrong. Very wrong. That's the big point I wanted to say today for this. And a lot of people don't seem to get that. So I'm glad I got to have this topic to speak on it. And hopefully the people who did not understand this before or didn't know this before understand my point of view. My page is always welcome to all beliefs, and I will not judge you. I believe my personal beliefs is to love all,
and spread love to all and be kind to the ones who are kind and deserve it, whether they believe or they don't. And that's how I'm gonna stay, and that's how I'm gonna be.
As you may know, Jake himself has done lots of questionable things online. But as someone in the goth community, I am here to speak out against all the red pill ideology and clear up what we do believe in. Now, goth ideology always consists of believing in basic human rights, and I believe as a person that everyone should just genuinely believe in human rights. As a goth, I would encourage everybody to speak out against Jake's actions and everything he says because he is twisting the words of the whole community.
So I won't take the red pill because, for starters, it goes against basic human rights. It's just like, why do you want control of women's bodies so badly? Why won't you let people be themselves with their sexuality? Like, why do you have to control that? It's none of your business, and it's not hurting anyone. It really isn't. Second, you can't be goth and conservative because their viewpoints don't align up. Goth is an offshoot of punk, which is usually left-leaning and has anti-authoritarian views, while conservatives are pro-authoritarian, pro-capitalism, and which goths aren't. It's everything conservatives aren't, and the subculture embraces more darker themes and self-expression, which society norms would be against and would frown upon. The goth community has been historically known to support and be a safe haven for LGBTQIA people and people of color since the subculture began, which conservatives are often dismissive or just find it against their religion, even though the Bible does not say that. It's just really just why. I have a question for people who are conservative and probably watching this. Why do you have to be so involved in our subculture when your ideas don't align with ours? We are left-leaning, we are anti-authoritarian, you are not. You would honestly, people who are involved in the conservative parties back in the day used to actually call us freaks and would not even catch us dead being in the same room together. That's something I honestly would like to know. Why now? You guys are taking over most of the country. Why do you want to join our subculture so badly, even though there are people you actively hate against? There are minorities, people of color, LGBT people that you are actively against. Why? Spread more hate? Why?
Hi everyone, it's BZ again. Thank you so much for watching this video. I just want to give a huge thanks to everyone who worked on this video with me. It took a lot of work and a lot of time, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting and supporting me. I will definitely be making more videos like this, and I can't wait to continue this and learn how to do this. It's been so fun. Feel free to comment below. We will not be taking any hate in the comments. You can have an opinion, but please do not be rude. Thank you so much again. I hope you guys have a great day. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you hopefully soon. Bye!